Hello, and welcome to the final presentation of Cheza, created by Anthony Rogers and Mrs. Chelsea Sherrod. So, let's get into it. Who are we? Cheza is a virtual gaming experience that puts the average sports fan in a head-to-head matchup against their favorite or not-so-favorite professional athlete. Cheza is an abbreviation of the phrase Cheza, which means play the game in Swahili. As Black Americans, co-founders and creators, myself and Ms. Chelsea Sherrod, were intentional about choosing the name for this organization in efforts to highlight African culture because most professional athletes across the 5 major sports in the United States are Black and or people of color. The 2 syllables have a rhythmic sound like Nike, Apple, that is easy to pronounce. It is also a word that is not used typically outside of the Swahili dialect. It's something new to the American culture that can work to our benefit. Goal and mission. The goal and mission of Cheza is to unite the public with their favorite pastimes and with the biggest names in sports using virtual reality. Campaign aim. The aim for our campaign is to gain a better understanding of the use of virtual and augmented reality in the everyday life of the average consumer. This will allow us to assess the knowledge of said realities in the customer. Through our campaign, we hope to learn more about what society would want in other sports video games. There are a plethora of games available now, so this will help us understand how to distinguish our organization from the rest. This information will help us in our creative process in order to provide user-friendliness and convenience for the consumer. Being that this game can be downloaded and played on Oculus, a user won't have to go to a store and buy a physical copy of a game, which already is more easily obtained than other video games in this genre. Our strategy is to use social media as our primary source of building a relationship with consumers. We have created Instagram and Facebook pages to better connect with our target audience. We set up raffles every Tuesday and Thursday to help draw in consumers and have conducted interviews and surveys to learn more about our target audience. Cheza may get off to a slow start because it is so new. There are tons of esports games on the market now that a lot of users are already familiar with. This unfamiliarity of Cheza can also be a threat to our growth. It will take time and a lot of work to compete with mainstream products that already have a vast social media presence and that have built a connection with society. So using social media and creating offers like raffles is a paramount for our existence early on. SWOT analysis. Given the creation and evolution of esports games like NBA 2K, Madden NFL, and we believe the concept of our organization is a feasible one. Unlike typical video games, Cheza will allow viewers to put their entire bodies into the contest. Cheza will adopt a style that relates to Wii, but instead of AR visibility, it uses VR, as in virtual reality. Our initial digital presence includes a website, Instagram, and Facebook page. Our website is treated as a primary source of our consumers' needs, updates, tools, rules, instructions, customer advice, etc. The website includes a homepage and about page, which will give background on the conception of this organization, including our mission, values, and goals. Moving forward, we will also add different pages for each sport so that users can search for their favorite athlete to virtually play against. We will start with about 5 athletes from the 5 major sports and add more as we grow. We will also add a Create Me page that will allow the user to build a character for the game, clothing, shoes, etc. This page will mimic a My Player page in NBA 2K. Our target audience is sports fans, male and female, from ages 13 to 35. Users can start as early as age 8, which will help introduce kids to sports and help them learn about the history of sports by playing with athletes that came before their time. Typically, this audience consists of former and or current athletes, but we will also target non-athletic sports fans and people whose interactions with sports mostly come from gaming. Interviews. For our informal interviews, we asked our interviewees about 5 to 10 questions consisting of these topics: virtual reality education, sports engagement, sports fandom, the not so great side of sports, virtual reality consumer experience. Our findings helped inform our survey and social media campaign. Virtual reality education. The average technology user does not realize that they are using virtual reality. The data from the interview shows that the everyday person uses virtual reality subconsciously and has not conceptualized the full benefit of virtual reality. Sports engagement and fandom. The average sports fan wishes they could play the sport that they enjoy watching. Cheza can be a way for a person to fulfill their own athletic dreams by the way of virtual reality and have an experience with an athlete of whom they idolize at the same time. Virtual reality consumer experience. Fandom economics. We can further research this theme in our survey because we received mixed feedback on if a consumer will purchase a headset primarily for this experience. The not so great side of sports. The business side of sports is a turnoff for its users. It is up to Cheza as an organization to make this experience as user-friendly as possible to keep the love of the game at the forefront of this experience. We want the user to feel like they can use this game as nostalgia. We further researched this theme in our survey. We believe that the business side of sports can also be fun. The inclusion of coaches, trainers can be something added to the game down the line. Campaign components and structure. There is no campaign without proper research. As previously mentioned, our campaign consisted of both quantitative survey and qualitative interviews research. In addition to our findings, we saw fit that we needed 2 events to make Cheza pop. The first being a launch party hosted in AltSpace virtual reality on August 11th at 6 p.m. At our launch party, we hosted a basketball shootout game to give our attendees a taste of what the experience can be like when they utilize our services. And also Instagram giveaways. As previously mentioned, our Instagram giveaways are meant to help people think not so much about the cost of our services. Therefore, we want to give away vouchers and coupons for our active community members so they feel appreciated for their time spent with us. And this is a photo of our basketball shootout. If I'm not mistaken, right there in the blue, that's Chelsea, and then in the back is our classmate, Miss Carisha Donaldson. Shout out to Carisha. Theme 1 of our campaign, awareness of the brand. The goal is to increase the awareness of Cheza as a brand and its services. The objective is to obtain 500 followers by December 12th, 2021. Our strategy is to utilize social media, paid advertising, and word-of-mouth advertising. The tactic for this goal is to create graphics that are eye-catching and that utilize augmented reality for social media advertising. And what we mean by utilizing augmented reality for social media advertising, think of it like the 3D flyers or the 3D videos that you see sometimes on Facebook. Theme 2, knowledge of virtual reality and augmented reality. The goal of this theme is to increase the overall knowledge of virtual reality and augmented reality. The objective of this goal is to ensure that all clients and participants score a 90% or above on a virtual reality and augmented reality safety quiz. The strategy for this objective is to create useful guides and fact sheets for clients and participants to use as a resource. The tactic would be to create a safety quiz and dissipate the quiz for clients and participants to complete. Theme 3, bringing the world together again. The goal for this theme is to recreate the feelings of togetherness using nostalgic influences. The objective, meet attendance goals for virtual and physical events. The strategy for this theme is to utilize resources that can recreate nostalgic feelings of the world prior to COVID-19. The tactic would be to create meaningful connections and experiences with both clients and participants. Process evaluation. Cheza is a great idea that has a great deal of potential. This would be the first virtual reality experience where people can actually basically hang out with their favorite athletes. However, we did hit a few roadblocks on the way. One of them would be the overall adjustment to virtual reality. Initially, we thought that it would be an easy adjustment to make, considering that both of us are millennials and technology use and application comes to us very quickly. Yet, our first meeting went over 2 hours, a whole 2 hours, in an attempt to get comfortable with virtual reality. Budget and timeline. Okay, starting from top to bottom. Promotional and strategic social media advertising. Bi-monthly, $75 a month, and yearly for a total of $450. Now, these months aren't necessarily going to be forever, but just to start out, we chose these months because they correlate with the on seasons for our 5 major sports groups. Payroll for Cheza employees. For right now, it is only Chelsea and myself. So twice a month, the 5th and the 20th, monthly at $20 an hour for our salaries to equal out to about $45K a piece. Canva Pro, that is a software that we use to create our graphics. Google Suite, that is our email service provider for our @Cheza email addresses. Zoom Video Calls Pro, because Chelsea and I are located in 2 different states, and considering that we will need to onboard athletes as well as clients, it will be most beneficial for us to utilize Zoom Calls Pro for our events, because with a regular account, you are only allotted a little bit less than an hour for your meeting. WordPress blog, that is the platform to which we use to create our actual website. QuickBooks Plus to keep our finances in line for our expenses and as well as income. Our endorsement deals, this is basically the section where we're actually discussing how much it is going to cost to secure each athlete for a set amount of time. Through a little bit of research, we found that depending on the status of the athlete themselves, they can charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per hour. So Chelsea and I have come up with to have about a maximum of 4 athletes, depending on how much they cost per hour, and have them in 30-minute to 45-minute time slots. And lastly, miscellaneous expenses. This section is for things that, although we, as humans, we tend to think that we've thought of everything, sometimes we skip over things. So we've already allotted for an additional $250 as a just-in-case type of thing. Key recommendations. This section of our presentation is going to be geared towards the things that we think that we could have done better in hindsight. Our first topic is going to be the expansion of the reach of our survey. Although that we did receive more than the required number per the assignment, we felt that had we would have had an actual 100 participants for the survey, that we could have got some more information to better help our process with the campaign. The next will be free trials for virtual reality. This is something that we thought of for maybe physical events, so that people get a feel and they can understand why virtual reality is literally the future. The next, pay more attention to the cost. The cost of securing these athletes was not something that we thought of actually until about week 6, week 7, when we saw that we had to create a budget for this campaign. And lastly, physical events. Although we hosted a virtual event, we thought that having a physical event would definitely have helped the overall process for this campaign, as well as our organization in total. Granted, there are restrictions with COVID-19, but mostly considering that there are mediums that we can use to ensure that everyone has a safe event. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. And feel free to follow us on social media @Cheza, and don't forget the M.